As I said, big game tonight, game 4 of these NBA Finals, and they need a big one from Steph Curry. And I was on television all day, First Things First, and Undisputed with Skip and Shannon talking about Steph. And Nick Wright and Skip Bayless, who obviously don't agree on LeBron James, they do agree on Steph Curry. And they both tried to tear him down and say that he is the most, well, Nick said he's overprotected by the media. And Skip said he's the most overprotected NBA superstar ever, replacing LeBron James now. Wow. And then Skip also said company. He doesn't, right. He said he doesn't show up in the final. So I had to give the truth. I wouldn't say defending Steph. I would say presenting the truth.
No, I would say defending Steph.
Nah, I mean, defending him against lies, I'd say, but or falsehoods or bad opinions. How about that? But no, I mean, I come with the facts. I come with the objective truth. But I'm going to share with you, Rob, what I said, and then you can give me your thoughts. Now, first of all, I went at, is he overprotected by the media? And I said, well, look, if he's overprotected, and I'll stop. After I do that, you can comment. And then I'll go into I don't want to just go off for 7 minutes, so I'll split it up. But, Rob, my take is this. If Steph Curry was overprotected, because that's what they were saying, by the media, then we wouldn't be saying he needs a finals MVP desperately, because he'd have one. The media vote on that. And whether you think Steph, as I do, should have won the MVP in 2015, the finals MVP, or you think Iguodala should have won it, which he did, I think everyone would admit it was close, or most people would admit that. Close enough where had the writers given Steph the MVP, if they had been overprotective, they would have. And it wouldn't have been much of an argument. Maybe there would have been a little debate, did he deserve it? But it wouldn't have been, I don't think it would have been even as controversial as it is now with Iguodala getting it. Secondly, in 2018, if he was overprotected, Durant won the finals MVP and should have. But Steph averaged 1 point fewer than Durant. Durant averaged 29, Steph averaged 28. Steph had 37 points in the closeout game. Durant had 20. My point being, it was close enough, and Durant deserved it. He should have won it to me, and he did. But again, if the media was looking to help Steph out, looking to overprotect him, looking to boost his legacy, it was the second ring. Durant had already won it in 2017, second ring with KD. They could have easily given it to Steph. We've seen players get the finals MVP that were head scratchers, not just Iguodala, but just many other ones. And so they could have done that. And then finally, Rob, I'll leave it at this. If Steph Curry was overprotected, he wouldn't have finished eighth in the MVP voting this year. He was behind Devin Booker. He was behind Ja Morant, who missed a ton of games and whose team, at least record-wise, played better without him. So my point is, people can talk about what they feel, what they think. It's just a sense. It's just something. But the facts are, you can't point to a media bias for Steph. And so that's my point.
Yeah, I think you got it mixed up when you talk about whether or not people are voting for him for awards. That's not what being overprotective is. Being overprotective and why people think that about Steph is that people don't like to talk like Steph. Oh, he doesn't have to win a finals MVP. He's already cemented his legacy. I don't care if he's ever made a big shot at the end of the game. I don't care if he's in this finals where he's averaging in the fourth quarters. No, where he's got 6 points in the fourth quarter and a negative 30 on the plus minus. Like, those are the things of overprotecting him. You look at the scoring average instead of in bigger situations and bigger moments, that those points shouldn't count nearly as much because of how ugly his fourth quarters have been and games like that. So when people talk about, and Skip and anybody else in the media, it's more about that people say, oh, no, Steph doesn't need to do anything. He's good. I don't care that he hasn't won a finals MVP. I don't care that he hasn't made a big shot late in the game. It's not whether or not somebody voted for him for MVP. That's not about being overprotective. I believe people didn't vote for him because they honestly didn't believe he deserved it. And so that's not where an overprotective. It's overprotective of who Steph is and his legacy. He is a better defender. Don't tell me he doesn't defend, even though for most of his career he wasn't a good defender. And it was about one side of the court. Those are the things that I think when people talk about him being overprotected by some in the media, they're talking about not whether or not he won or who voted for him, or like the media just pushes Steph and gives him all these awards. I don't think that that's what they're talking about. They're talking about when you start to put somebody on the top of a pedestal and start to look at them and say, they're one of the all-time greats. Okay, was he one-dimensional? Yeah, for most of his career, was just offensive player. Okay, we got that. What was his lasting moment, or his moment when he made that big shot and you went, man, Steph is unbelievable? Did you see that three he made to win the series or to win the game or whatever? That's what people are talking about. For whatever reason, Steph doesn't have to answer or check those boxes. So I do believe he's one of those guys who's overprotected by the NBA writers, media, or NBA in general, who just love Steph and think he's the greatest thing.
Well, I'll say this to that. There are, and we've talked about the analytics-driven media. A lot of these younger writers are analytics, proponents. And Steph is huge with the analytics because he shoots the three so well. So maybe that may be a reason for it, because those same writers, Rob, aren't that high on Kobe, aren't that high on Isaiah Thomas, the legend, because analytically, those two aren't like off the charts. So maybe there's that. But I do think if there was a media bias in general, I think it would show up in the voting. I mean, because a lot of people, like when I say I think you would even agree, his legacy is cemented, whether he gets a finals MVP or not. Now, very few people are saying top 10. Shannon Sharp saying I don't know if he's saying he is or will be. I think will be if they win it. Kendrick Perkins saying will be if they win it and he's the MVP. But most people aren't saying he's going to be in the top 10. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's a media push to throw him in the top 10. But when I say he doesn't need a finals MVP, I mean that, because I think the finals MVP is overrated. Because I think when you get this far, it's about winning the championship. I don't care who's the driving force. Like if Jaylen Brown wins this finals MVP, which I think he would and should if it ended now for Boston, I wouldn't look down on Jason Tatum. I don't look down on Kareem because he only won finals MVP twice in his 6 years, or 6 championships. So that's just my belief in that. And so, but I think too that Skip said also, and we'll get to this quickly, that Steph hadn't delivered in the finals. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Steph's averaged 27, 6, and 5 in the finals. So he's got the 10th highest scoring average in finals history. His 47-point game against Toronto is the 5th highest scoring game in the last 50 years in the finals. In the last 50 years, only Jordan, LeBron, Giannis, and Iverson have had higher scoring games. Steph is of the fourth quarter. I'll admit, he has not delivered in the fourth quarter of this series. But overall, he's the only player in finals history to have 2 fourth quarters where he scores 17 or more points. The only one. Yeah, so this notion, he's got 12 games of 30 or more points in 31 finals appearances. Larry Bird was in 31 finals games. He's got 6.
Yeah, but
Larry
he
Bird's
also
career high in the finals was 34.
But he also, Curry, and here's the other one, and why people will look at that is Curry is 0 for 8 on go-ahead shots with less than 20 seconds left in his NBA playoff career, all right? He's played in 131 postseason games. Chris, you could say, and
so he's not been good in the playoffs.
No, you could, but you could pile up all the numbers. But that is a big.
Eight shots don't nullify that.
Yes,
really?
It doesn't
nullify. 8 shots nullifies it.
I didn't say it nullify. I didn't say nullify. But I'm telling you, it's a big elephant in the room that he has.
Really?
Yes, to consider him the greatest shooter of all time, but
everybody
he's yet to make a big shot.
You and maybe
I'm not
Skip.
the only one.
Who else?
He hasn't. I don't know. I don't keep track of
there's
everybody
no name
else's
because everybody, Reggie Miller.
I don't know.
They're
being
Kerry
nice.
Kittle. I mean,
they're on
guys,
TV. They're being nice.
I'm going to take Reggie at his word. I'm going to take Reggie at his word.
They're being nice.
Is Steph overprotected by the media and a guy that underdelivers, let's put it that way, in the finals?
All right, let's kick it off with Carl in Mobile, Alabama. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. Hey, Carl, on a Friday. What's up?
Hey, guys, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call. I hope you guys been doing well.
Yep,
Man,
we're good.
Everything is good.
Good. I think he is a little overprotected, and I think it's because he's a smaller player that nobody really expected to be what he has become. And you throw in the fact that he is affable, he's humble, and he's just like a regular guy, and he gets along well with the media.
Yep.
So they do give him a pass. They like Steph, and, but I don't think anyone thought he was going to.
I think the size is a good point because let's face it, we don't expect as much from smaller players, and most don't lead teams to championships. There's only been 2 to lead teams to multiple championships, and that's Steph and Isaiah Thomas. And so, if you look at the top 10 players of all time, they're all bigger players, and so there might be something to that.
No doubt about it. All right, let's go to what we got next. Let's go to Mason in the Bay Area. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Mason?
Hey, guys. Love what you guys are doing. You guys are an integral part of my day.
Thank you, buddy.
Great to know, brother.
Yes, sir. And so living out here in the Bay Area, I see it firsthand every day, the coddling, the worship of Steph. So I think Rob Parker's 100% on point.
But is that
Chris,
the local media? I mean, the local media a lot of times tends to do that. Not all the time, but what do you think about the national? You think that's on the national level?
Yeah, I definitely do because, like you say, he changed the game. But to touch on something that you said, Chris, the media bias, I mean, that's kind of going against something that you guys always preach. Like, you guys don't really have bias, and you call it how you see it. So, I feel like, he hasn't earned an MVP, and he did get that unanimous MVP for the first time ever. I just think, he's got his credit where it was deserved, but, in the finals, he doesn't show up. So
how does he not show up if he's averaging 27 a game?
Because they're looking at the bigger moments.
And 3 rings.
He shows up, but he just, doesn't do it at the clutch times. He's always had someone to, carry him over the edge.
He's done enough to win 3 championships.
Yeah, but Chris,
seriously. He has to hit every last. He has to hit the last shot.
No, he doesn't have to hit every one.
He doesn't hit a last shot.
No, but it's just one of those things.
That takes away everything.
It doesn't take away just because people want to see that.
This guy just said he doesn't show up in the finals.
Okay, but
because he hasn't hit a last shot.
It's not just that. It's just the way that.
I'm sorry. When you got 3 rings, 27 points a game can't be empty calories. That's just foolishness.
When you start talking about people being the greatest, this and that, people look a little deeper than just the 3 rings.
Most people say he's the greatest shooter.
Okay, I don't know how you can be. Most NBA players we talk to, we say, you need a big shot. Who would you give the ball to? And nobody says Steph Curry. Greg in Virginia. Beach, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Greg?
Everybody got a short memory. I'm listening to y'all, and I'm just seeing how clear y'all memory is short. It was an anti-really LeBron thing when first of all, when they won the championship, they were going to try to give it to LeBron on the losing team. That's why they gave it to Iguodala, because nobody else in the Warriors showed up. Then he got a unanimous MVP with LeBron still playing. Everybody doesn't believe that. There was an anti-LeBron sentiment in the NBA anyway. Then you go back and get Draymond Green to go beg Kevin Durant to come to your team that just lost to LeBron. So look at their championships. He went in there the first championship. LeBron went in there without Kevin Love, without Kyrie Irving. The next year they come back to win.
So let's take away let's discredit everybody's championship that won it because of an injury.
I'm just being honest now.
I mean, let's take away Isaiah Thomas's first championship because Magic Johnson was injured. How's it different? Let's take away Kawhi's championship in Toronto because Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson were injured. If you want to play that game, really? Because injuries have been a part of a ton of finals. So stop it. All right, we're live from the Fox Sports Radio studios. Our next guest, host of the On the Ball with Rick Bucher podcast. We welcome in friend of the show, Rick Bucher. What's up, man?
What's up, Rick? One of the most
gentlemen,
genuine and honest reporters in the Bay Area. So I just want to say that, Rick.
Well, look, Rick, we were just talking about is Steph Curry. I went at it with Nick Wright this morning, with Skip Bayless this morning. They say Steph is overprotected by the media. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
Just like Rob said, one of the most honest reporters in the Bay Area.
Not anymore.
I second
Rick,
the notion.
You were before. and wait a minute. And I want to make sure that
hear Rick's explanation.
Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead. Let's hear it. Go ahead.
Well, does the likability factor influence how Steph Curry is covered? I would say yes. But if we're talking about, there's two different things here. Like, first of all, what has Steph Curry ever done that would warrant a reporter or a writer to be hypercritical of him? It's not as if he's walking around saying, I'm the best ever. He's not walking around saying, I deserve to be in the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant conversation. He's not doing any of that. So those who debate that can debate that. But I'm not going to hold it against Steph Curry that people feel like he's wanting or doesn't deserve to be in that category. It would be it's a little bit like my criticism of LeBron James is when he says, when I won it in 2016,
right.
That's when I knew I was I was the greatest ever. It's like, dude,
right.
You don't get to make that call, and two, that's a terrible reason because it was a marred finals. So that's where, if you talk to Steph will honestly in a candid moment, he would tell you, I'm not Kobe, I'm not Michael, I don't dominate the way the way they do. Now, have I won the way they have? Yes. And do I try to win the way they do? Yes. But I think one of the things that I appreciate about Steph is that he knows exactly who he is and who he isn't, and it's allowed him to make room for a Kevin Durant or a Jordan Poole or anybody else coming along the way where he's like, I just want to win, and it's not important to me that I win with me being the star or getting all of the attention and the accolades. And it's why he's been as successful as he has. So if that earns him extra credit with the media, look, there are people out there in the media who stump for him, who want to say he's the greatest of all time or he's this and he's that. And I don't agree with that, but that doesn't come from Steph. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to put that on Steph. I'm going to put that on the media who have a misguided idea of just how good Steph Curry is.
What do you make of Steph's fourth quarter stats in this final? 6 points, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 3 for 10 shooting, 0 for 3 from 3, and a negative 30 in the plus minus?
I think it's a combination. I think the Boston Celtics have done a great job of wearing him down as the game goes on by attacking him at making him play defense. And their ability in the fourth quarter to say, we're going to make somebody else beat us. And Klay Thompson can't get a look. And Draymond Green isn't able to make a bucket. And so the ball ends up either sticking with Steph or coming back to him, and he has to take more difficult shots because the spacing isn't there. And particularly with when the Warriors are trailing, it's more likely than not that Steve Kerr is going to go with more of an offensive-oriented lineup where Jordan Poole is going to get minutes, and so as a result, you're not getting the same defense, and those numbers are going to run in as far as the plus minus is concerned, those numbers are going to track in the wrong direction when it comes to Steph's plus minus. But I don't put it on. I mean, I think it is great game planning on the part of the Celtics as opposed to like Steph loses his nerve or his ability to make shots in the fourth quarter. I just think they're infinitely harder to come by and to make in the final 12 minutes, and that's that's what has resulted in numbers that don't look good in the fourth quarter.
Rick, how do you see the injury, the foot affecting him tonight? He needs a huge game, or at least a typical 25 to 30, because we don't know what else anybody else is going to do. But how do you see it affecting him, and what type of game you think he gives them tonight?
I have no doubt that it's going to affect him. I've always said it, like Steph has to be right in order to create the space for him to get his shots. He has to be able to move because he's 6'3", 185. So it's not like KD can shoot over somebody. He has to be able to create that space, and he does it with his agility and his change of direction and his stop and start moves. And if he's compromised in any way, then that airspace closes, and those shots become infinitely more difficult or impossible to be able to get. So that's where he can play, and I'm sure he'll get a certain number of buckets. But if you're counting on him to go get 30 in order for them to win, that's not the answer. The answer is the Warriors have to find a way to make this a lower scoring game and do it at the defensive end rather than think they're going to outscore the Celtics.
Rick, last thing from me, Draymond Green, this must be driving the Warriors front office or management crazy when he says that his podcast is just as important as his basketball. I mean, what this seems like to be off the deep end, that he can't step away from a podcast for 2 weeks during the finals?
Well, I mean, number one,
missing?
I mean, for the last year, he has been prepping for his next career. I mean, appearing on TNT during the regular season, that wasn't something that guys normally did. And talking as candidly as he does, that's not something that guys normally do.
When they're still playing, right?
Yeah, and I'm loath to say that, what's the difference between having a podcast and making a movie or some of the other things that guys ancillary interests that they have and pursuits that they have. We just don't hear about them. But you leave yourself open to second guessing and criticism when you're not playing well, and there can be the question of whether your attention is diverted or split. And that's the risk that I felt that he ran from the very beginning. And there's no defense for that. Like, my problem is that he's being so defensive about it when it is a natural question to ask. Right.
And here's the other thing, real quick, Rick. We got 30 seconds, and here's the last part. You're engaging with Cornbread Maxwell, who hasn't played in 30 years. Like this, do you know what I mean? Like, is that necessary?
No, it's not, and it's you would hope that Draymond, of all people, who considers himself a student of the game, like, look, again, it's another diversion from where your attention should be. Like, respect, and I feel the same way with J.J. Redick and talking about Bob Cousy and plumbers and firemen and whatnot.
Right.
Respect the guys who came before you, because they're one of the reasons why you're making $100 million.
No doubt.
That's right. All right.
Thanks,
that's Rick Bucher. Great stuff, man. We appreciate
Have a great weekend.